Welcome. Welcome to this official beginning of our new project, the East Broadway Row. Yay. Thank you for braving the weather. We knew this was a project launch. We didn't know the weather was also going to make it a christening. So everything got nice and damp for the beginning. My name is Charles Cash, and I have the honor of being board chair of Vital Sites this year. So what is Vital Sites? Well, we are Preservation 3.0, a new day for heritage development in Louisville. We were conceived as the Louisville Preservation Fund in 2012. We were established to be a new voice in this era of asset-based development in our city. And we've been busy. We have merged with Preservation Louisville. We've rebranded ourselves as Vital Sites. And we expect to harness the power of building reuse, small-scale development to create a connected, healthy, and resilient city. With the leadership of a strong and dedicated board and a professional staff, this organization will demonstrate building reuse as a sustainable development strategy. We will support neighborhood revitalization through advocacy and education. We will leverage capital through catalytic real estate development projects like this one. We will strengthen sustainable patterns of growth and investment. We will diversify opportunities for development and reuse. And we will reinvigorate the local economy through creative, adaptive reuse and appropriate infill new construction. Speaking of the board, let me recognize the board members who are here. Val Jones, who I'm going to let speak to you here in just a moment, and Ann Arnsberg, who's out there somewhere. We're two of our founding board members. And then we have with us David Richey with Commonwealth Development, Amy Curry with Frost Brown Todd, Thomas Woodcock with Harris Properties, Kimberly Stevenson with Marion Development Group, and Todd Urban, who owns Executive Elevator. This is an incredibly dedicated group. They not only talk the talk, but are involved every day in their private and professional lives in revitalization and sustainable development. We're also lucky to have a knowledgeable staff person in Jessica McCarran, who has a background both in engineering and historic preservation, a nice combination. And she is supported by her husband, Kevin McCarran, the designer of our new logo and graphic images that we will be unveiling to you shortly. I also wanted to acknowledge the ongoing support we have received from the National Trust for Historic Preservation and their Preservation Green Lab program. As many of you know, they have been working in Louisville over the last several years and doing some really incredible research and documentation of the value of older buildings in our city. I wanted to thank Margaret O'Neill, and Margaret is here somewhere, and Jim Lindberg with that organization, who have been invaluable resources in nurturing our growth. Lastly, I need to recognize the Edwards companies, developers of the former Phoenix Hill Tavern site just behind us here. Lisa Minkley, who is their project manager, and Brian Mugridge, their construction manager on site, have worked with us to resolve parking, access, drainage, the many other issues that go with building in a compact urban situation. I also want to recognize these 5 houses' original owner, Mr. Ben Rogers. The working relationship we were able to establish early in the planning of this entire city block is really emblematic of what Vital Sites hopes to be the new approach to urban sustainability and redevelopment. We met with Mr. Rogers, we toured all of the properties. We then went to the Edwards offices in Columbus, Ohio, met with their corporate leaders and their designers. This early involvement led to 2 of the structures on the site being incorporated into their project, and these 5 shotguns being saved for restoration. We were pleased to receive these buildings as a donation from the Rogers family and immediately set about plans to renovate them as single-family homes. We wouldn't be standing here today without the support and cooperation of the folks from Edwards and the Rogers family. Could we give them a round of applause? Now I'm going to ask Val Jones, one of our founding board members, to tell you a little bit more about how Vital Sites came to be.
Good morning. So this started a long time ago, in 2012, as part of the effort to save Whiskey Row. And this shows you how lots of things can come together when there's commitment and creativity. So as part of the effort in 2012 to save 5 buildings, iconic buildings on Whiskey Row, Christy Brown issued a challenge to the mayor and to Metro Council that she would help contribute to fill a substantial funding gap for the Whiskey Row redevelopment effort if Metro Louisville would match the gift up to a certain limit and commit that the money, once repaid, would revolve to help fund the renovation of other historic properties. So as part of this effort, the National Trust for Historic Preservation came to Louisville for 2 days and brought with them directors of other successful historic organizations. They held focus groups and public sessions where we as a community learned best practices and explored how to tailor this to the particulars of our community. The result was the creation of the organization that's now become Vital Sites. Thus, we were born from private, philanthropic, and public creative efforts to save 5 iconic Victorian buildings in downtown. However, the vision was always much broader than just a few buildings or just downtown. It is also much more inclusive than the past approach to historic property. At Vital Sites, we see ourselves as an active participant at the table, a source of resources, expertise, assistance, advocacy, and education. We want to be an active partner, bringing solutions and assets. We see creative partnerships with private developers, nonprofit developers, Metro Louisville government agencies, businesses, and philanthropic interests that care about our legacy neighborhoods and buildings. We believe iconic historic buildings, as well as these kinds of older buildings, work collectively to create a sense of streetscape and neighborhood that can be mixed well with both large and small scale new development. We see this as the best way forward for redevelopment and development. These shotguns and the Edwards Company's new buildings right next to us are a great example of those principles of old and new, small and large scale working together to create something that's much greater than the sum of the parts. Whiskey Row, with its gorgeous Victorian structures, the old Forester distillery that will mix historic with modern, and new construction hotels Poe Properties is creating right next door, are another example, and we were centrally involved in that as well. This mixture of old and new powers up the block. As this mixture of old and new will power up this block, the old enhances the sense of authenticity and uniqueness, and we are based in Louisville-ness. The new brings density and diverse uses that are hallmarks of dynamic urban redevelopment. Vital Sites is excited to be part of both of these redevelopment efforts. We intend to bring more creative partnerships to both our urban core and our neighborhoods in the future. So now it is my great privilege to introduce Vital Sites' godmother, Christy Brown.
Thank you. Thank you. Val and Charles, as you can tell, have been the backbone of the evolution of this remarkable new organization. And it's really a tremendous thrill to be here with this launch of Vital Sites, Louisville, which I think of as Louisville's newest community conscience. The coming together of caring Louisville leaders representing our collective desire to make Louisville a much healthier and a more livable community. Together, we will make Louisville a new kind of healthy urban laboratory, a model for our nation. And this is an exciting new day, therefore, for historic preservation and Vital Sites, as Vital Sites begins to bring together our rich cultural history, our past and our future, as well as our present. They've been creating, as they've been working hard, new kinds of partnerships with investors, as she mentioned, with the National Trust for Historic Preservation, also mentioned with developers and with our political leadership. New kinds of partnerships with architects and investors, which will lead to a richly diverse community and successful efforts beyond belief. On this block of East Broadway, we are seeing an entire neighborhood recreated with the new construction combined with the renovation of these wonderful houses. Vital Sites intends to provide an example to all of us on how historic neighborhoods must sensitively accommodate our very, very diverse population, our people of all ages, of all races and incomes. This new organization is going to offer a new way of thinking about our shared heritage. Among other things, our mayor's Historic Preservation Task Force called for the revolving fund, which Val has mentioned, and encouraged the use of that to redevelop and repurpose our cultural heritage. Vital Sites is such a fund as has been described, and already we are investing in the exciting transformation, as Val mentioned, of Whiskey Row, and now with this most creative project. When Prince Charles visited our city in 2015, he pointed out to us about the importance of all forms of our health, such as our Circle of Harmony and Health is showing, that all forms of our health be cared for, and that really words that we've begun to use, which is that all decisions begin to be made through the lens of health. So this Vital Sites project is an example of just that. And so we are grateful to Val, to the entire board, to the city of Louisville, to the Preservation Task Force that the mayor and his team put together, to all of which together with the National Trust has motivated and encouraged today to happen. So it's now a tremendous honor for me to introduce to you, whom we know needs absolutely no introduction, but please invite me to do it anytime, our dear friend and our mayor, Greg Fisher, who, as you know, has always cared very, very deeply and articulated very strongly about his belief in the importance of a healthy Louisville. Also, his belief in a compassionate Louisville, both of which, as you know, go hand in hand in order to truly make our city the vital and the livable city that we want. Greg has been called by Charlie Rose the most innovative mayor in America, and I don't think I need to say any more because we know, in fact, that's what he is. So, Mayor Fisher, we welcome you.
Thank you, Christy. I appreciate those good words, and thank you for your leadership. You truly are the godmother of this, an inspiration. That's a great legacy. Thank you. I want to recognize Bill Hollander as well, great Metro Council person that's here. Bill, you're leading on so many issues. I appreciate you. Also, our team here from Louisville Forward and Develop Louisville has been great partners on this work and a lot of the development that's going on in the city to develop preserving and building. We've got a lot going on in the city right now, so I really appreciate our Develop Louisville team here. Let's hear it for them. Come on. So cities are always changing, and when you think about historic preservation, it builds to kind of the best of both worlds together. It's about honoring our history, but it's also about bringing the best of our history into the future as well. And today, the future of our city looks very bright. When you think about the macro picture, we got tremendous economic momentum taking place in Louisville. In the past 6 years, there's 71,000 new private sector jobs created and 2,500 new businesses. And just in the last 3 years, I mean, you can see it and hear it all over the city. We've got $11 billion of construction underway or announced. So there's a lot of new buildings going up. There's a lot of renovation going up. Our city is transforming in a very exciting way. And then there's plenty going on in our neighborhoods as well. Across the street and down the block from here are 2 apartment complexes have been mentioned, being built by the Edwards community, which we're really appreciative for them to see kind of the big picture of what we're trying to do here on East Broadway. It's not just new, it's also about preservation as well. So we're thankful to them for helping us contribute to the overall vision for our community. And then when you look around the neighborhood, this is not an isolated project. On Barrett Avenue stands the old Urban Government Center, and we're working right now on ways to make that site vibrant once again. It's a big piece of property that has a lot of potential in an edge neighborhood around downtown. And next to that is the Arts and Entertainment Project in Paristown, headed by Steve Smith, where we soon will be seeing a new Kentucky Center venue that will be the best of its kind in the world when it opens, a Goodwood Brewery, and expansion of Louisville Stoneware. So it will be an exciting addition to our tourism scene, our leisure scene, and our art scene. So all that's happening right here, close to East Broadway, which of course is a really great connector from our burgeoning downtown and adjacent edge neighborhoods, which are really thriving in our city right now. So just around here, Phoenix Hill, Nulu, the Highlands, Germantown, and many, many others also. So as the transformation of our built environment unfolds, we have to proactively identify the opportunities to preserve the great buildings that we already have, and buildings of every size and in every neighborhood, and find ways to maximize the potential that they have to enrich our community. What a beautiful example here by people working together to see the new and see the old that will look new as well. This is a great example here. They're ornate, they're distinctive, and represent our city's architectural history. I believe architecture, but when you see a city, oftentimes represents the soul and uniqueness of a city as well. This is a great example here. And I'm just really gratified and thankful to see how Vital Sites has emerged and created a plan for these homes that is ready to put action into scale. So this is an example, but I'm grateful for Vital Sites, the way they've evolved in our community to come to a very exciting place where that we are right now today. Vital Sites joins a list of allies who are helping us address the challenge of vacant properties in the city. Their work restoring houses like those here on East Broadway will become a welcome boost also to the need to fill our affordable housing need in our city, which is quite large. They will become homes for families again and help strengthen the momentum that we're seeing in this entire section of the city. So I really, Charles, want to thank you and the board, the entire Vital Sites team, Val, for being about this work really for your whole lives. And a lot of people talk about things, but it's hard to put talk into action, into a formal governance structure, a funding structure. That is no small task. And what you all have done is a real national model for making this happen with the help, Christy. You've been right in the middle of it as well. And when we think about today, not just today, but what's going to be unfolding over the coming months and years because of what Vital Sight's doing is a really great addition to our community. So I really want to say thank you guys so much for what you're doing. It's awesome. We've been focused on historic preservation in a significant way. A lot of this was catapulted by the activity that was surrounding the Omni when it was conceived and developed downtown. And what we all decided to do was there's got to be a better way to be proactive about issues so we can get in front of historic preservation issues, so we can become proactive and productive on preserving and moving forward. So that's how a good community operates. They come together and say, let's find a better way to do this. Our Historic Preservation Advisory Task Force came out of that work and has done a lot of great recommendations as well. If you're a member of our task force here, would you raise your hand so we can thank you for your wonderful work there? Thank you so much. It was about, I guess, 16 months or so ago when we stood at the Auerbacher Mansion in the Russell neighborhood and announced the task force, whose members were asked to create policies to address preservation planning and help us proactively embrace historic preservation and adaptive reuse. Their work has resulted in some outstanding recommendations, which we're currently implementing. This includes creating a subcommittee of the Landmarks Commission to address recommendations related to designations, surveys, and public engagement. Also, our private sector partners will be supporting our efforts to advocate for an increase in the state historic tax credits. These tax credits are a tremendous catalyst to make projects happen. So, in my view, there is no money that Frankfurt loses by helping us with more historic tax credits. So I would encourage everybody to talk to their state representatives and state senators and advocate for state historic tax credits, and we'll see more and more renovation. My staff is also actively working on several grants related to preservation, as well as a survey of the structures in our community. So in closing, I would like to thank all of our historical preservation champions, from Vital Sites, the Historic Preservation Advisory Task Force members, and others in our community for helping us to continue to evolve while building on our history and on our treasures in our community. So thank you for helping us preserve the best of our past as we prepare for a very exciting future here in our city. Thank you.
Okay, almost done. And then we're going to let you actually walk through two of the houses, what we're calling our hard hat tour. We hope to have you back in the early spring for the finished product. And we'll call that our top hat tour, okay? I failed to acknowledge one important entity in our process, and that is you can't do anything without the person who keeps your books and keeps you on the straight and narrow, and that's the Community Foundation of Louisville. They have been integral to our organization from day one and involved in appointing board members. So wherever they are, there you are. So now you'll have an opportunity to meet Greg Rockman, who's going to go inside, and he's our project manager. You'll see the plans for these two 1890s cottages. And first, we're going to ask the mayor and Christy to unveil our project sign. And Jessica's going to help them here. Yep. Over the top. There we go.